There is a procedural rule called Rule 22. No sitting senator ever cast a vote to adopt it for this Congress. It carried over automatically the moment they were sworn in, and since 1975 it has required a two-thirds vote to change, a threshold the Senate has not cleared in 50 years. By the end of this, you'll understand why 100 people can be bound by a rule none of them chose, and why that's completely legal. Rule 22 is the Senate's cloture rule. In plain terms, it's the mechanism that decides when debate on a bill has to stop and a vote has to happen. Most people call its effect the filibuster. But the filibuster itself is just a tactic, talking or threatening to talk, until a bill dies from exhaustion. Rule 22 is the actual law of the chamber that makes that tactic work. It sets the number of votes needed to force an end to debate. Right now, for most legislation, that number is 60. For changing the Senate's own rules, it's 67. Two different thresholds, two different locks, and only one of them gets attention. Here's the part almost no one is told. The House of Representatives reconstitutes itself every 2 years. New Congress, new members, and on day one, they vote by simple majority to adopt their rules from scratch. The Senate does not do this. Because only a third of senators face election in any given cycle, the Senate has ruled, going back through a string of precedents, that it is a continuing body. It never fully dissolves, so its rulebook never resets. The rules enforced today are the same rules, amended in place, stretching back to 1917, when cloture was first invented to stop a handful of senators from blocking a war readiness bill by talking forever. No incoming class of senators has ever got to start clean. They inherit the whole structure, silently, the day they're sworn in. And the structure that got inherited was rewritten in 1975 to protect itself. Before then, ending debate on a rules change took two-thirds of the entire Senate, present or not, nearly impossible. The 1975 deal lowered the threshold for ordinary bills to 60 votes. But it kept the old two-thirds requirement, 67 senators, specifically for anyone who wants to amend Rule 22 itself. The people who wrote that provision weren't reformers. They were the senators most protected by the old rule, and they built its successor to defend itself. Remember, no one voted for this. Not you, not the senators bound by it today. What they inherited is a lock installed decades ago by people no longer in office, calibrated so precisely that undoing it requires almost the exact supermajority it was built to prevent. Here's what that lock does to you, specifically. Say a bill passes the House. Say it has genuine majority support in the Senate, 52-55 votes, a real democratic majority by any definition you'd use in a civics class. Under Rule 22, that bill still dies unless 60 senators agree to let it come to a final vote. Representing California means representing 40 million people. Representing Wyoming means representing under 600,000. Both states get 2 senators. Run the math on a 60-vote block built from the smallest states, and you find that a group of senators representing roughly 11% of the country's population can permanently block legislation supported by the other 89%. Not slow it down, kill it. This isn't hypothetical. It's the arithmetic that has sat behind nearly every major stalled bill in the last 2 decades, on healthcare, voting access, and gun policy alike, regardless of which party held the majority. And here's the part that should actually worry you: it's completely legal. Nothing about Rule 22 violates the Constitution. Article 1 gives each chamber the explicit power to determine the rules of its proceedings. The Senate is using a power the framers handed it directly. There's no court that will touch this, because there's no law being broken. There's a body governing itself exactly as it's permitted to. So why can't it be repealed the normal way, by a simple majority who'd rather have straightforward voting? Because Rule 22 requires 2/3 to change Rule 22, a closed loop with no exit built in. The one workaround, called the nuclear option, lets the presiding officer reinterpret the rule by simple majority instead of formally amending it. It's been used for nominations, never for legislation, because doing it for legislation means giving up the shield the day you're out of power. Every majority that could break the lock chooses not to, knowing they'll need it themselves. This is the pattern worth sitting with. Rule 22 isn't an isolated quirk of the Senate, it's a template, a structural lock that entrenches itself, protected from majority repeal by design, inherited without a vote by every new office holder who takes the seat. If one chamber of Congress can operate this way in plain sight, permanently, legally, the real question isn't whether other institutions have quietly built the same kind of lock into themselves. It's how many of them already have, and whether anyone still in office would ever tell you.